Hi, I'm Pizza Wolf.
And I'm Tender Loving Cares.
And I'm Kevin.
Wait,
But-
what?
I'm hungry. I'm so hungry.
And you're listening to the second season of Horngry for More.
The podcast about Feedism, by the community, and for the community.
I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. Yeah. I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. Yeah. I'm hungry.
So this week, we have a really special treat for our listeners because it's more than just TLC and I blathering away. This week on the show, we have a special guest. His name is Kevin. I met him at a Phoebe.com meetup. A shout out to the Phoebe.com meetups. We were seated at a long table at this ice cream parlor in Oakland. I heard tell at the end of the table that there was someone at the table who had a really interesting contribution to kind of the communication of the kink to the public. And I was kind of looking down the table, picking out, who I thought it might be, who's this person. And I'm seeing recognizable web models who are, 400 or 500 pounds, even more. I'm seeing, people I've seen at other meetups. I've seen them all over the website before. And then at the end of the table, I see Kevin. And Kevin, since radio is a bad, or not radio, since podcasts are a bad medium for the visual, could you just give give the listenership a little idea of what you look like?
Oh, yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kevin.
Yeah. Sorry, here's Kevin.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
So I am pretty small. I stand 5'7", and I weigh 110 pounds. And I'm a tiny little Asian guy. That's the best I can describe myself.
And that's not an unfair description of himself, but it was really interesting because the thing that Kevin is known for is you have to just hear him explain himself. Kevin, could you just tell us what is it?
Oh, that I talk about.
Yeah, what is it that you talk about, and to who?
At a local community college, they have quarterly human sexuality classes all year. So a couple a quarter, and I took one 2-3 years back.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the extra credit assignments was just talking about fetishes, kinks, lifestyles.
What kind of kinks?
Yeah,
so
that's a heck
far.
of an extra credit. Yeah. What were you hearing?
Well, we wouldn't go up. It was you would write it and you would turn it into the teacher. So
okay.
I don't know what other people talked about,
Mm-hmm.
but what the class also entailed was, every once in a while she'd have speakers come in and talk about, things regarding human sexuality. She had BDSM performers come in.
Oh, wow.
Transgender, LGBT, like a big old group of LGBT people.
Okay.
Rape victims, like all around the spectrum. But towards the end, she kind of like geared it towards like, let's make it fun. So she'd bring in like furries, the BDSM people.
Oh.
So she read my essay, and I was talking about Feedism because why not?
Yeah.
It's what
It's what you're related
I'm into,
Yeah.
what I identify as. And she saw the paper and she's like, wow, it's like you have experience in this.
What do you identify as within the Feedism community?
As a feeder?
Pretty obviously, I think.
Well, you never know. I was gonna.
Yeah,
Let's just ask.
a really bad feedy.
And how did she react?
She thought it was very interesting and that she hadn't really heard of anything like it. And so she pulled me aside after class one day and we really talked about it. And she asked me if I wanted to talk to an entire class about it next quarter.
Oh.
And so a little nervous, but why the hell not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just let's go through the anxiety checklist. Why I don't like speaking in front of large groups of people. I'm terrified about revealing my sexual proclivities. It seems like most people are going to be terrified of this.
Yes.
Have you always had an ability to just kind of speak about uncomfortable things to big groups of people, or is this something new?
Is it like a superpower?
Well, there's kind of like a precursor to this, I would say. So before coming to this community college, I actually lived in the dorms for a year at San Jose State, yada, 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 dropped out, so expensive, whatever. But, I had a roommate not a roommate, but a floor mate, and we were really close friends. We would talk about everything. And like one day it just got brought up and, talked to her about that. And she was like, let me write like a little article about it. And so, talked to her about it, like how I got into it, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, she just wanted it to practice for writing. So no big deal. And then she was like, you were pretty comfortable talking about this. And then that was kind of the end of that. Like, okay, well, that happened. But then when I took the class and this got brought up with the teacher, I was like, oh, I've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And to my friend. And the reaction was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So what if I talk to like these random people? Like they're random people.
Exactly. Like you don't lose anything if it goes wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it feels.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but I think it's so incredibly relieving to tell someone else because it also changes their perspective a little bit on what's even possible, even if it doesn't relate to them directly. It's still like
Yes,
cool
it does.
that exists, and it opens the horizon a little bit.
After that, like my closest friends, pretty much most of them know, and it's like their reactions are very funny to me because it's like it's not like a I'm surprised or like a whoa, I don't like that, or like oh dude, that's weird. It's like a oh
Yeah.
you know what, things make sense.
Same here. Yeah.
So I think it's
Sure.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, definitely on the side of someone who who has kind of a body type that's more in line with fat people are expected to date other fat people, so no one ever really got surprised if ever I dated fat people, and if I dated thin, it was always hey, good job. And it seems like the opposite is true for people who are into the kink but who are also of thin or of average weight. After a few partners, your friends and family seem to catch on. It's not
it's definitely
might not be a they might not get it in the same way, but I'm sure that is some sort of understanding for them to this all makes sense now type thing. And so this was the terror that everyone has in the community. You see it posted every once in a while. Has anyone ever told their significant other about this? You never approached it from that. You were first you were talking to a friend who was a sympathetic ear, and then you were talking to strangers. Yeah.
And after I talked to the strangers for the first time, I'm like, fuck it. Let's see what my longest time best friends got to say. So, drive up to Stanford, see him, haven't seen him in a year. And it's like, hey, man, I want to talk to you about something and, see how you react and stuff. And it's like, like he welcomed the information with open arms. And it's like, well, if this guy can accept it, let me tell the other equally best friend. And if that guy can accept it, it's like, well, this is great,
Yeah.
So wow, it seems like almost kind of like a backwards way of going through things. You moved from the impersonal to the personal.
Yes.
Rather than sharing your personal experience with a broad group of people later.
Though at the same time, it kind of reminds me of how most people go about it within the Feedism community, just that we choose strangers on the internet before we choose our closest friends. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually kind of an interesting question for me to raise. Since TLC is a little younger than me, but Kevin, I think you're both of us. And I'm always fascinated with how you darn millennials find Feedism. Could you describe your path to kind of recognizing this within yourself and then connecting to the internet community?
Oh, I love this story.
Okay, good.
All right. It all started a long time ago. Like for me,
1995, right?
So I probably started recognizing things by the age of like 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so very, very early on. I grew up in a tiny little border town, a little sleepy town with not many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents, still to this day, they own a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And so, it's a family-owned restaurant in a small town. It's really hot, Southern California. So we would always be inside the restaurant as, my parents were working, my grandparents would be in there, like in like the back office or anything. And as kids, we'd like wander around the restaurant. Over time, growing up in the restaurant, you would see regular customers. And, some people,
Some are fat.
yeah, they get fat,
Yeah.
to put it more bluntly. And
you could put
also,
it bluntly here. We're that podcast. Feel free to put it bluntly.
all right, perfect. And growing up in an Asian household, the beauty standards are slightly different. Like if someone's thin and they put on like a pound, everyone sees it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of, you'd always hear it like in the back of your mind and stuff like, oh no, especially when it came to women, like, oh no, she got fat. Oh no, she got fat. Like, oh no, fat's bad.
Yeah.
You don't want that. And it's like, fuck you, mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
Like you don't want me to like this. Then it was kind of like now it's like, why? So you'd like look more into it, and like, I would like look at the fat people and be like, but why? It doesn't make sense why we don't like it.
Part of the appeal was the transgressive nature of, liking fat people was like almost an act of revolution.
Almost, yeah. But it was always like, I was always really tiny. Like, when I was 4th grade, so like, I don't know, 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, I was 40 pounds.
What?
Yeah, no, I was 40 pounds in 4th grade.
Pizza Wolf, were you ever 40 pounds in your entire life?
I mean, I think like my arm weighs 40 pounds. I don't know.
So, people would come in, eat really comfortable. And, so, sometimes like I'd hug the customers and it was like, wow, they're really soft. This is so cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Pulp Fiction. Remember, like right in the beginning.
The things that look good and the things that feel good are sometimes not the same. It seems like there's also kind of like an element of like restaurant as community center, or restaurant, like the act of feeding or providing food, not feeding as we understand it.
Yeah.
The act of providing food is like this thing that kind of like anchors you within a space. And I can definitely relate to this. Actually,
yeah.
TLC and I both have worked in the food service industry. Just despite being college educated, despite doing, a bunch of other things, we just found ourselves drawn to the kitchen and the restaurant. And so, probably for obvious reasons. Also some of the other stuff. I mean, I think I personally used to go, mention the taboo thing a lot more, that this is, I'm going to smash beauty standard, but that kind of, for me, that fizzles a little if there's not something under it. On one hand, it was a great way to like channel my teenage rebellion and be like, I'm going to like fat people because society says I shouldn't.
I think that's interesting to me because it's different for me, I think, because it's more taboo for you guys to be into fat women than to be into a bigger guy.
Sure, that's true.
So I definitely get the taboo aspect of it, but to a lesser extent, in a sense. For me comes everything else first, and then that's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah. So you had that spark, and then how did you give it a name? How did it translate into you finding Feedism, or probably at the time it was Feederism, or what got you into the community?
Well, I didn't really know what it was, but it was like, all right, I know I like fat people. Like it was like little things, and I really didn't figure out that it was even a thing until much later. But it was like the little things that I would do. It was like if a regular customer that was here showed up, I would offer to like a tiny little kid, like, oh, let me bring the food. Just even like a girl that I thought was pretty, but she wasn't big. Like, oh, let me bring her food. Come on, let me bring her food. So I'd get excited about little things like that. I would always like tabloid magazines, like, oh, so-and-so, like celebrity, like, I don't know who was a celebrity back then, like Anna Nicole Smith, like, oh, she got fat, like,
oh yeah,
interesting, tell me more. And I'm a little kid, I can't really, I don't know what really is going on.
You just find yourself attracted to these stories and you really can't say why. And
it's like, oh, wow,
sure.
I think we've all had that at some point.
Yeah. It's like we've all seen those, like the same constellation of cartoons that we thought we really, really liked because we liked the same cartoon.
I know
but
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm pretty sure it's like very common, but like for me, the end all for that would be obviously Totally Spies episode.
See, that's not obvious for someone my age because I was 20 when that came came out, but Totally Spies. What is it? Passion Patties or
Yep.
That? Yep. See, of course I remember.
Oh my
Jesus
god, I have no
Christ.
idea what you guys are talking about.
You wouldn't. Don't worry. It's a guy thing. No. No, it was kind of like it was. I think it was probably an animated action comedy geared at probably like middle school girls. Really,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was one. It's three teenage girls who are spies and they're off
Kicking
time.
ass and stuff.
Standard issue stuff. But there was one issue where an addictive kind of Girl Scout cookie thing called the Passion Patty was introduced, and one of the characters ends up, like probably tripling in size. So, suddenly it's like, oh, I enjoy this, but do I know why? And no. I'm sure there's plenty of fetus who watch the whole, season of Totally Spies just waiting for another chance.
Yeah. It's probably up on YouTube.
It's definitely up on YouTube.
So after that, you just started Googling, or how did you go about it?
Well, yeah, pretty much. It's like, oh wow, Google this, Google that. Like it would just be like,
algorithms.
Let's type in like fat. What if I type in like fat girl? All that kind of stuff. And it one search would, you type in Google, and then like, were you also looking for these things? And it'd be like, ooh, what if I click on this one? And then now you're in like a completely different realm of
clicking. Confirmed TLC. The algorithms they guide us.
Yeah. So I remember finding a bunch of like stories. Everyone reads the fiction.
Probably Dimensions or Fantasy Feeder.
Dimensions, same as I think all three of us found the weight room on Dimensions first.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I found it first because none of the other sites existed yet.
And then from there, like really shortly, I found Fantasy Feeder. But then I was like, this website is kind of weird. I don't know how to use it. It was more of like the topic. It was just like, dude, this is confusing as hell. It's not very interactive to me. Like, I don't want to, I just wasn't very in tune with using it. So I never really used that. It would just be like, oh, I'm here to read stories.
You signed up and you never used it, basically, like I did. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did. I still have the account and it's just there.
So was this mirroring your real world experience? I mean, now you found this thing about yourself, you'd known what to call it. We're assuming now, and we're going to assume, and please don't correct me if I'm wrong, but we're assuming that you've moved into registering for adult website Fantasy Feeder once you were 18, and you began to, was this reflective of your dating and your personal life? I mean, did this cross over into the real world for you?
So that actually, it would be like, elementary school, middle school.
I do know those schools.
American style of celebrating Valentine's Day and like, early school. You like decorate like boxes and stuff.
Yeah, you put a box on your desk and everyone slips. Yeah,
give everyone like a little like candy or whatever. Like, so everyone was included.
TLC is like, what's going on? Yeah. You kind of had to bring a Valentine for the whole class. Everyone got something.
Yes.
So that no one came in with a gun later and shot up the school.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Moving on.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would buy, the standard issue, like tiny little packet of Skittles or some random, crappy little candy. It's like, oh, whatever. They're all the fun size things. And I would like, because everyone got like a little class list and be like, all right, well, these are my bros. This is some guy that I don't really talk to. Whatever. You guys can all have these candies. But then it'd be like all the girls. I would buy like
full size Snickers.
No, like a king size. Be like,
king size.
Let me buy the big chocolates. Like, why do you need those? Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry, Mom.
Yeah. Like, I know what I'm doing, Mom.
So really, growing up,
I relate to this so much.
Yeah, I bet you do. So this was something that it's never not been that. You've always kind of had this expression of affection
been there,
tied to. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, would you like my cupcake from my little, like the school lunch, like little tray, like you get a pizza, a cupcake, some random salad, and like a chocolate milk. Like, I don't eat cupcakes. I actually am a very picky eater. So it'd always be like, do you want my cupcake? Do you want my pizza? I don't mind not eating cupcake. That kind of stuff. So that stuff's always been very innate. It's always been inside me. It's like that to this day.
It's part of your personality, basically. And then you just discovered that it, as everything else, like our sex life mirrors our personality as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
I first started dating, and my first girlfriend she was a big girl.
Okay.
But that was kind of it. I mean, she
she
kind of
wasn't
put
a
on weight.
feedist.
Yeah.
No,
And you didn't really, you didn't have a name for it yet or explain it to her or anything
well,
like that.
I didn't know how to
Sure.
no.
Yeah. No, it's
Mhm.
it's incredibly hard subject to
Yes.
breach. Yeah.
So it's like, shit, dude. Well, and then before you know it, relationship over. Fuck.
Yeah.
And
To
then
teen love, just in and out, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next girlfriend, middle high school towards the end, we looked very identical.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
5'7", she's like 120 pounds. I had long hair in high school. She had slightly longer hair than me, black hair. So we looked pretty similar. Like if you were looking at us from behind, same person.
Okay.
Mhm.
But she also grew up in a restaurant in town.
Okay.
They had a donut shop.
Oh.
So the donut trope.
Yeah.
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 So, her family had a donut shop, but they were really strict on her dating to the point where we didn't tell her parents. But my parents knew.
Oh.
They were like, dude, I don't give a shit. But so we would wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and go to school early because we had things to do.
Yeah.
And, every morning, pull up into the school parking lot, hop in my car or hop in her car, and let's go to Denny's.
Mhm.
Denny's. Okay. For TLC, if you're not familiar, Denny's one of the.
I know what Denny's is.
I don't.
This
I
one
don't
thing
know.
I know.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've actually been in a Denny's once when I was in Hawaii in 2004.
There you go. Okay.
And I was in a Jack in the Box as well. It's like, wow.
Ooh.
But I'm just saying this because I've never been like to a Taco Bell, to all this like In and Out and whatever else you have. So that's like the two things.
Yeah.
Two things.
All the disgusting bounty of the American fast food landscape. Yeah. But okay, so you were with your girlfriend at the time at a Denny's every morning before school.
It wouldn't. Well, Denny's
Or Denny's or
Del Taco,
sure, just whatever was open.
Yes. Always eating. And she would just suck up the food like a vacuum. Like, holy shit.
Really? Big eater.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Huge eater. Like,
just like blast furnace teenage metabolism. Got rid of yeah, okay.
So she never really put on much weight, but she would eat a lot. And I was like, well, I already knew what feedism was by then, but it was just like, wow.
But the wheels were turning. You knew you liked fat people, and now there was something else there.
And the eating and the getting fatter, all of that. It was like, well, at that point, I already knew all of that I liked it. I just didn't think it was something that I would see or that would happen to me in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, yeah, the girl I dated before, she was big, but oh my god, my girlfriend now is, she's eating a lot. What if she gets really fat? Well, I like that. So
yeah.
But so we talked a little bit about it, and she was like, well, what if I got fat? And I'm like, that's fine. So, but that was kind of it. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
It was just some sort of hypothetical that, you didn't.
Yeah. And then it just kind of like, end of high school, she went to college here, I went to college there. And it was just like, oh, well, amicable split, no big deal.
Just lost touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you told us how your teacher reacted, and
yes.
How was the first time? So like you said you were a little bit nervous, but it went fine. What were the reactions you got?
Oh, well, it's always nervous. The minute you go up, you're just every time. No, I've done it like 12 times or
12 times.
And every time you go up, it's like, oh shit.
How much do you make it about yourself, in a sense? Do you present it as just, look, this exists, or do you actually go into, I'm a feedist?
I start with like my personal story, as we were just doing, and I kind of like drag it on until into like the rest of the presentation. I kind of try to get it to flow smoothly as much as I can. Like the first few times it was rough. I had the PowerPoint up.
PowerPoint. Ooh.
Slides. And I talk about it, some people have questions, but most people, their reactions are mainly positive. It's nothing negative. It's like people ask about, oh, how big do you like them? How did you get into this?
What would you say the best reaction you've gotten from someone was? Did you ever see like this click in someone's eyes and they were like, "Oh my god, this is."
So I haven't had any people like come up to me and be like, "Holy shit, I didn't know this is what I am." Some people in the class, they'll be bigger people, and they'll be like, "Whoa!" Like you can tell, like it kind of like opened a new little door for them to look into. I would get the most questions from bigger people or people associated with a different kink, because kink or lifestyle. They would let me know as they were asking questions, like, well, I'm associated. I'm into like. There was this one girl, and she was into damn it, I can't remember. Like the pet play, like she like leafed up, and that kind of stuff.
We're all like, yeah, of course, pet sure. Kink understands kink, perfect.
So with that, she asked the most questions, very like obscure questions that I wouldn't think of. But some people got really engaged into it. Like they had fun. I tried to make it as fun as possible.
Do you think she had familiarity with Feedism before, or had anyone else seen any of the other?
So she was mentioning that she had heard of it before and all that.
Okay.
Kind of stuff. So
heard of it.
I mean, there is some overlap. I've seen pet play within the gaming community a lot.
No, sure. No. I certainly have too. But I'm always skeptical when people are like, "Hey, a friend told me about this website." It's like, no, you were on the website. You know exactly what we're about. Like, don't.
But there's also a lot of different pets. So like what we normally associate with is like dogs and cats or something like that. But like there's a lot of like pig play and hog play and stuff like that. And if you're on a website where they have or pet whale. I don't know, but
pet whale.
Pet whale. Yeah. No, but if you're on a website where they cast all different kinds of pet, then I'm sure it's gonna come up, and like people will figure out like why is his pet a pig? That sounds weird, but yeah.
Just imagining myself like lying on a tarp and someone spraying me with a hose. Pet whale. No,
I want a pet now.
Of course, of course you do. So is there a particular part of your presentation that you feel like just like is the eye opener or like the showstopper or some sort of like thing that like really like either blows people's minds about the kink itself or your experience with it?
The thing that gets the people the most is, I would say it's probably like in the middle. It's a slide, or it's not a slide, it's a picture that my friend drew for me. I had commissioned so many, fat art from him that he was like, "Hey, dude, let me do you this solve it."
Oh, cool. Oh, nice.
So it's a picture of a weight gain progression from like a little skinny girl to like really big at the end. So that one is usually the one that just people, because you see the picture of the big person, but I think the progression is the one that kind of hits home.
Yeah.
For some people, they're just like, "Oh shit, this guy's not fucking around anymore."
Just as a female feeder, can I ask if you? Well, it is about you, so I get it that it's going to be mostly about women. Do you include something about men as well? Do people even ask about that kind of stuff?
Like, I get that, and I do include it. I explained that it's not gender specific. It's like there's female feeders, there's there's gays, lesbians, all that kind of stuff that entails, and it's like you don't even need the other person at times. You can just be your own feeder.
Yeah,
that's true. It's not necessarily relational. Yeah,
but I also present it as a very intimate thing because that's how it was always. It was always like that to me. Like food is a very intimate thing. And it's not like a lifestyle where like let's go into the dungeon, tie you up, smack you around, that kind of thing. It's like a very slow, we're gonna have dinner, it's gonna be nice. I always found it as a very, very intimate thing.
It's just kind of like a romantic feedism aspect.
Yes. I
mean, here on Horngry for More, we try not to preference one feedism over the other. So, if you do like going down to the dungeon and getting smacked around and force fed complete, but no, I think one of the things for me that's really really interesting is talking to people who have experience with it, how their lived experience changes, because I think when it's all online or when you only kind of see it online, it's really easy to be like, we're gonna do. It's gonna be funnels 24/7, and
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna gain 1,000 pounds in a year, or something. You know, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
kind
can
of
be allowed
measured.
to have those crazy
Yeah.
fantasies too.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Anything goes on a party night, but you know, like for the most part, you know, it's taken. You know, I know for me, it's taken the shape of just, you know, a partner ordering for me, and nothing happens crazy, and there's no, you know, it's not like then I'm molested thereafter, but you know, just little kind of little tweaks to what seems like an outwardly normal routine, you know, that we can find that spark in, I guess.
I just wanted to say, like, for the record, I think it's so amazingly important what you do, and make it like so easily accessible to people who've never heard of it. Like even them just knowing, because we always think about how do we tell our significant others about this, and it's so much harder when there's so much on the line. But if people get exposed to it earlier, maybe one day when they do get approached or do hear it again from a close friend of theirs or a significant other of theirs, it's gonna be different, because they're gonna have what you said in the back of their mind, and they're gonna be so much more open to it.
With that in mind, I think that if that person is your significant other, or, you know, like your close friend, this will just prove to you that they are. I mean, I told all of my closest friends, and they're, you know, more than happy about it. And it's like for them also, you know, they get to poke fun at me, like, oh, dude, you should go out with that guy. He's for sure gonna pay for your dinner. Like, guys, fuck you. That kind of stuff, you know. I told
I've heard that before.
my second ex, you know, we still talk a little bit, and it's like, hey, I think you should know this. Like, you know, this is what we were doing. And she was like, oh, you should have told me sooner. Like, oh, fuck, what the hell? But you know, I didn't know how to tell you back then, kind of deal. But you know, that kind of stuff. Like, it really shows you that the people that you're close to are really your friends, is what I've noticed. Like, I did not have any like really negative reactions from friends. And then, you know, like one of them is like a marathon runner, and he's like the image of like human fitness. And it's like, he's like, cool, whatever.
It weeds out all the people in your life that you probably shouldn't be spending time with anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
that's
wonderful.
Hugely important point, that even if there's no immediate response to the talk you give, just the work of normalizing kink to you know, to a wider audience might lay the groundwork for someone to recognize something in themselves or someone else later. And you know, who knows, maybe they'll try and look you up 20 years from now and say, Kevin, thank you. You know, it's super cool. And I think I'm guessing there's going to be a response from our listenership to hear more about it. So we'll probably get in touch with you further.
Yeah, and you want to mention your Phoebe username if people want to get in touch with you?
What the hell is my KEI_cars.
Okay. Well, you sound like a great person, and I'm really thankful we had you on the podcast. I hope it was.
Yeah, I am too.
It was nice.
I had so much fun talking to you guys. Like, this is really cool.
If you guys want to send us a message, you can find me as Tender Loving Cares on Phoebe.
And you can find me as Pizza Wolf on Phoebe.
We also have our website. It's horngrymagazine.com, where you can find all the embedded episodes. We also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/h4m. So just give it a click, and then if you want to support us, that's where you can like help us the most, I guess. Okay, guys, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.